Hello, everybody, and welcome to another week of Darf Talks. I'm your host, DarfMike, and this week I've got a special treat for you as we're bringing in the wide swing king himself, MOTM, Ian MOTM Hardy. How's it going, Ian?
Everything's all right, weather outside, it's beautiful. I'm feeling good. I slept pretty well, and I'm here.
Solid. And despite it being 2018, he doesn't own a webcam, so we're going to use this beautiful still photo. And unfortunately, we were not able to animate it yet, but we're working on that technology. So that's coming up next time. We'll do the animation of the photos to like voice activate it. That has to be possible. There has to be the technology. But for anyone who isn't familiar with MOTM, with Ian, he is a player in the Mountain Dew League for Vireo Pro, a team currently sitting fairly high up near the top of the Mountain Dew League. His teammates are ZNF, Ponalone, Paperboy, and Rustin. The only normal one, apparently, or the weird one. I always mix that up.
Definitely the weird one.
Definitely the weird one. I'm going to ask you about that later, by the way. I'm not going to let
Okay.
that name slide. I need to hear some stories. First of all, just brief introduction. I always like to ask this. What's the story behind the name?
So, my original alias was Flash, and it was like very confusing because your teammates ask for Flash all the time. Yo, can you flash me? Yo, Flash, like stuff like that. And I wanted to make a new alias, obviously. And I was listening to Man of the Year by Schoolboy Q, and I wanted to make my name MOTY for Man of the Year, and it was taken on ESEA. So now I was just looking around and I was thinking, I was like, Man of the Year, what's similar to that? And I was like, Man of the Match. That sounds pretty cool. And then the one in front of it came in because of a friend group I used to be a part of. One Grim, One West. I just put the one in front of my name because they were my friends. So yeah.
It's like the tag, the solid tag sign. Now that's an official part of the name, right? The one.
Yeah, I don't think I'll be removing it.
You're not one motm on the HLTV. You're just MOTM. Also, that's the second question. The follow-up question is, how do you feel about the fact that every time I cast you, I call you motm because I forget that you prefer MOTM?
I understand it because when you're casting, things need to come out of you need to talk more fluidly. And when you have to say the acronym MOTM, it takes a bit. It could be like tongue twisting. So, I'm kind of used to people calling me modem, modem,
Modem.
I'm used to it by now. It doesn't really bother me.
I try and avoid modem because that's actually a different thing. But I will try and remember MOTM more often while in the throes of casting. But let's dive into the history a little bit. That friend group, the one. Well, I guess first off, how long have you been playing Counter-Strike?
I've been playing Counter-Strike for 3.5 to 4 years now.
Okay.
Something like that. And I started ESEA in August of 2015. So I began at the beginning of 2015.
So coming up on 3 years of league play.
Yeah.
Well, it's actually a fair amount of experience for. I mean, you're a relatively young guy, so that's a fair amount of league experience. What got you into it?
So I used to play this game called Mountain Blade, and I was in a group there, and they started playing Counter-Strike, and we'd play matchmaking a lot and stuff, and I really liked it. I got hooked. I was playing FPS before I played Mountain Blade. So when I played Counter-Strike, it kind of gave me that taste of how good it felt to play in FPS. So I was playing with my friends a lot and stuff, and then I got introduced to Sivo, I think it was first, and I just built myself up from there and understanding the competitive environment and stuff. I think my first ever league match was actually in Sivo Open, Sivo Free. So yeah, I definitely did start at the bottom, but I started in matchmaking with my friends. Yeah.
Okay. The classic matchmaking grind. I don't know if you have the stream up, but it looks like Griffin, our producer, has found a solution to the lack of animation of your mouth. I don't know where he found it. It's vaguely horrifying, but he's got a solution for the moment. Take a peek at that when you get a chance. But diving into it, okay, so coming up on 3 years of competitive league play, started at the bottom in the depths of pits of matchmaking that we live in. Oh, Griffin got rid of it. I'm sad. I'm gonna take it back about a year, I guess. It feels like a good place to jump in. Was you played with that old Royal Flush 7 roster, which was you and Snakes and
Voltage,
faces.
Voltage, Loner, and Nervous? Yeah, it was Nervous. His
Did you guys
alias
go
was
to?
Nervous.
I remember that. Did you guys go to Frag? Was it Frag 10 or 11 that you guys went with that roster?
They actually went without me. I was
Mm.
unable to go,
Mm-hmm.
and they took Kilroy with them. I don't know
That's
if you're
right.
familiar with him.
Yeah, I
They
know
took
Kilroy.
Kilroy with them.
Yeah, I know Kilroy. Oh yeah, local and celebrity specialty. Okay, so that's a sort of more well-formed team, and you played with Eclipse Rise as well at a couple different points. What's your history with that roster?
So I was just friends with the team, I talked to them a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and I was a decent player. So, they just asked me to play CEVO, and like I think I played a qualifier or two for them just to stand in. And I played the last few matches of CEVO regular season, CEVO main regular season, and I
Mm-hmm.
played all at playoffs with them. And we actually managed to go without dropping a map in CEVO main. We played teams like Ronin, that had Poyo and Emode and all them on.
Yeah.
We played Miami Flamingos, which turned into Gale Force. It was
Mm-hmm.
that roster. And yeah, we didn't drop a map to some pretty decent teams.
Was joining that roster and playing SIVA with that roster sort of like a step up in the level of competition that you were facing at the time?
100%. When I stood in for that team for the short amount of time I did and the short amount of games I played with them, I definitely changed as a player. I say one of my most defining moments is when actually I made a mistake in a match, in a close match, and VSA actually got like pretty upset with me, but I made sure I took it the right way. It was actually specifically about over peaking, and I lost this around, and I remember it like to this day. He got really upset with me, and that kind of like helped me understand how important not over peaking was in CS.
Do you remember the specific moment?
Yeah, I was upper BO Mirage. I don't
Okay.
necessarily. Oh no, we were playing the team that became Flipside Academy. They weren't that great. This is one of my first matches with them. I was playing upper BO Mirage, and they came out B. We were ecoing. We stacked it. I was hiding. I got a kill. I was reloading at Van, and instead of hiding and waiting for VSA to take the contact from default, I wide swung after I reload, and I lost this the round because I could have baited my teammate and got another trade frag.
And that's a moment that's really stuck with you in terms of what the
Yeah.
response was and the lesson you took away from it.
Yeah, it made me understand that I don't need to fight to the death 100% of the time. I can play off my teammates.
That's a big lesson that it takes a lot of players a while to sort of figure out if they ever do. So an interesting moment to sort of crystallize and remember for you. Another part of that question, this actually segues into something that I sort of forgot to touch on earlier. Where did the nickname Wide Swing King come from?
It was like a stream thing. I was just playing, and I'm playing pugs. I'm just taking aim fights and stuff. And I think like specifically, I ran out A ramp on Mirage as a T, and I was just doming people, and my chat just started saying Wide Swing King and stuff.
Wide Swing King, and it stuck. It is
Yeah,
a pretty great nickname. Okay, so what's it like seeing? Here's back to the Rise Nation Eclipse kind of thing. What's it like seeing teammates that you played with, that friends of yours, people you've played with? What's it like seeing them compete, be one series away from making a major?
I'm like obviously proud of them. I wish I could be playing there with them. It makes me realize as a player that like if you put in time and effort and you really care about what you're doing, that like you can reach.
Sorry, you cut there. Did we lose?
I think I'm good. Sorry.
Oh, you're back. You're good.
I don't know what happened. So it made me realize that if they can do that, I can do that, and I just have to keep trying my hardest because I'm not far away from that level.
Yeah. Okay. Motivation from seeing teammates succeed, former teammates succeed. So then after the sort of Eclipse, Rise Nation, off and on, hanging out with them, working with them, playing with them, you became a part of this Broken Alliance roster. Broken Alliance was, for anyone not familiar, was the team that then became SOAR. It was you, Snakes, Grim, Voltage, and Exceed, right?
Yes.
Okay, and that you guys battled through main. You wound up dominating main, coming out on top. What was it like playing with that roster?
I really enjoyed it, is because we were all young and we had a lot of time to put forth. We all cared about the game a lot. we practiced like 6 days a week for 5 to 6 hours a night. We would do dimmer review like almost every other day.
Hmm.
Uh, it was it was my it was an ideal team scenario for a lot of people because we could put in a lot of time and we're all like mechanically skilled players, and we put a lot of time into understanding the game on another level.
Mm.
So I learned a lot, and I really enjoyed my time playing with them.
Okay. So obviously this, for you, the story of Broken Alliance and qualifying outside of Maine doesn't have the happiest of endings. You guys made it out of Maine. You guys secured the Mountain Dew League spot. You got it picked up by SOAR. I don't know if you were actually still part of the roster when they got picked up by SOAR, but the team made the decision to replace you with MCE, to bring MCE in, who was an experienced player, in-game leader, coach, had been coaching for a little while at that point, and they replaced you with MCE. What was that like for you as an individual to battle out of Maine and then suddenly not be a part of the roster anymore?
It definitely broke me as a player because I put in a lot of time to do something that I wasn't supposed to do originally. I
Hmm.
was I became the in-game leader, and
Mm.
it's not that I didn't have experience in game leading, it was something I could do, but I put in a lot of time to make sure I could perform. Like I be a good in-game leader, but also contribute individually. I say what hurt me the most is what we made MDL, right? That was like we started an open. Me, Voltage, and Snake started an open together, and
Yeah.
I don't think we saw ourselves making Premier / MDL ever. So we made MDL, but what also broke me was these results, the close maps we had versus pro teams in the E-League qualifier. In the E-League qualifier, top 3 made it to E-League and played on television. We finished 4th. We are a main team. This is before we won main.
Yeah.
We were a main team that almost played on television.
Yeah.
That's not
That's
something
insane.
you could say about an A team. That's like an EU thing. Like
Yeah.
EU teams that are in main play at majors. So that's what broke me, was because the amount of time I put in and the results we were getting, we were not getting bad results. We destroyed almost everyone we played. So when I got replaced, it just felt like I put in all this time and effort. We're doing well. What's the point? But
Hmm.
they gave me the reason for picking up MC, which was, they wanted a more experienced in-game leader, someone that could teach them more about the game. And that's definitely what happened. They grew as a team after they dropped me. They picked up MC. They grew as a team. And the very next season, they made Pro League.
Did that sort of, I mean, obviously there's still got to be some hurt and some hard feelings. Is that sort of a thing that fades with time, or did seeing their success next season almost make you uh, understand, I suppose, the move?
Um, if I'm completely honest, I was definitely jealous. I think they knew
Hmm.
that. I think my friends knew that. I was very jealous, but I played with these guys for a long time, and we grew as teammates for a long time. And I always told them, like after they came back from the land, they qualified for pro, I talked to them. I was like, I'm very proud of you guys. You guys did make the right decision, and I meant that because these
Hmm.
guys became more than teammates. They were friends to me, close friends. And I don't really talk to Voltage a lot because he quit CS, and I talk to Grim here and there, but I talk to Snakes all the time. I was talking to him last night, matter of fact, in TeamSpeak. So I still maintain some of my relationships with them.
That might be a key relationship. Snake's 16 now, so watch out, world. Here Snakes comes. Uh, are you hyped for the return of the Snake?
Yeah, I say what's really the most exciting thing about Snakes coming back
Hmm.
is he's not some young player that just shoots people in the head. Like,
No.
what's really good about Snakes is he has good aim, like clearly has amazing aim. There's countless clips. But when you see Snakes play, it's more than just his aim. Like Snakes is 16 and he understands the game on, I would say, a large majority of MDL.
Hmm.
His positioning is excellent. He has great comms, amazing utility usage, and I can confidently say he's probably one of the best bomb side anchors in the league. And he's not even on a team yet.
It's gonna be some interesting conversations going on there. But back to you. Focus on motm right now. The So coming out of that as a player, I mean, we've talked about like the emotions of like the friendship and the teammate and feeling jealous and feeling a little bit betrayed and all of that. But as a player, how did you get past that? I mean, what was the next move for you as a Counter-Strike player, having gone over that huge hurdle of qualifying for MDL and then being off the roster?
Like I said originally, like it hurt me a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely lost some of my confidence as a player, and if you watch the way I play, it definitely requires a bit of confidence. But I was just talking to some people, and Emote actually added me right before the season started, added me on Steam,
Mm-hmm.
and he talked to me. He's like, I like how you play. I think you know what it takes to win. And going into that season, I definitely individually did not perform on the level that I'm capable of.
Mm-hmm.
And as a team, on paper, we were super good, but our results were atrocious, to say the
That
least.
was
We ended like good people roster.
that was the good people roster. Okay. Okay. And then coming out of that season, a season where, like you said, on paper, there was a lot of strength and it didn't quite live up to expectations. What's your thinking both as a player and as a team unit? What's the mood like in that?
Uh, we were definitely like individually as players, we were definitely players that were used to winning. So
Mm-hmm.
when we started losing a lot, it definitely something that hurt us mentally as a team. Because when you're like a player that's used to winning a lot, because
Mm-hmm.
I came from Broken Alliance, I was
Yeah.
used to beating these teams like no
Yeah.
stress. So when I started losing to some of these teams, like, wow, what is going on? And as we lost, and lost more, it really took a toll on me. I was like, wow, this is my first MDL appearance, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
struggling.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of that season, I was not confident in myself. Like I was like, I don't see myself playing an MDL.
Obviously, that still kept happening. You joined Bushido Boy, which became Etherian. Um, that was after Good People, right? Immediately after? Or do I have my
Yes,
timeline wrong?
that was the
No.
very next season.
Okay, so next season you come in with Bushido Boys. It's again, you're back to playing with a very young squad. It's you, Strings, Kwong, Infinite, and
OC.
OC. Yeah. Okay. Took me a minute there. Bad with names, great with faces. Um, and it's a very young core. You're all, I think, were you the oldest member?
Kwong was definitely the oldest. He's like, I think his upper 20s. I'm not sure,
Is he?
but the rest of
Wow.
us were teenagers. Yeah.
I guess I didn't realize that because Kwong was replaced with Ben Lee, right?
Uh huh. Yep.
And he's also quite young.
Yeah, he's 19, maybe 20 now.
Okay. So it's a very young team. It seemed like there was a lot of promise. Being picked up by Etherian, you guys played what I primarily saw you playing was the online section before Mad City, and then the actual Mad City LAN, as well as in Mountain Dew League, of course. But it was a promising team. I mean, at Mountain Dew, at Mad City, you guys were sort of expected to be a top team, and you did make it to that final. Battled it out with Drip or Drown, which was E United plus fillers. And it was a really good showing from the squad, and you guys showed a lot of team play and performance, and it was interesting to see that team. What was it like joining that team, and how did you sort of feel going through that season?
I think I was very lucky to join a team like that.
Mm-hmm.
We joined a roster that went 7-9 in the previous season, so I don't think a lot of people saw us performing to the level we did. I think we exceeded expectation, but I was very lucky to join a team like that because of the friendships I had on that team. So I was able to adjust to the environment better than I did good people, because when I
Mm-hmm.
came into good people, I didn't really know anyone in good people. Like I knew Odorous and them, but I wasn't like friends with Odorous. But when I joined Bushido Boys, I was really good friends with OC. I kind of knew Infinite. I've been playing against Kwong for a minute. I've been playing against
Mm-hmm.
Kwong for a while. So I kind of knew everyone on my team. I knew Strings as well. I played a lot of pugs with Strings. We always got along. So when I joined Bushido Boys, I was a lot more comfortable.
Do you think that reflected in your play?
Yes, 100%. Because on Bushido Boys, we definitely grew as a team. As in, our team play only got better, and I think that showed in our result.
Mm-hmm.
And if I go into specifics, I think Infinite specifically made me super comfortable because his personality is like mine, as in he likes to talk about issues, he'll address everything, and he has no fear when it comes to addressing issues, as in he won't hold it in. He'll talk about it. And that's the way I am as well.
I remember when I sat down with Infinite in Chicago, one of the things he highlighted about strength for your team was that he really appreciated too was the versatility of players. And that he was playing some entry, you were playing some entry, you would both were comfortable in the role, you were both comfortable swapping out of it. Other players were comfortable playing different roles, and that allowed you guys a lot of adaptability and a lot of ability to sort of mess with roles and play with roles a little bit. Was that something you experienced as well?
Yeah, definitely. I'd say Infinite is probably one of the most versatile players I've ever played with, specifically him. But him and Strings were definitely very capable of entry fragging. We were capable of supporting each other, and what was really cool about our team was anyone could do any role. As in, Strings could go lurk on a map, on the other side of a map, and be effective. I could go lurk on the other side of the map and be effective, Infinite as well. So it was really cool to experience that everyone could do everything.
Now, what happened with this roster at the end of the season? Because I just remember informally talking to, I think it was Infinite, where he was confident that the roster was actually going to stay together. He was hoping that the roster would stay together through into the next season. So what happened there at the end of the season?
At the end of the season, towards the end we dropped Kwong for Bentley, and we actually did pretty good against Swool Patrol in first round playoffs. I would argue that we could have won that series if a couple things went our way as a team. But options just surfaced. I got to talk to Hunter and them about making a team, which became Armada, and I brought the idea to Infinite, and he said it sounded like a good idea, and we took it. We took the gamble, and yeah, we joined Armada.
Now, the Armada experiment obviously did not quite go as planned. It was initially, the initial fracture was Exceed was kicked or left, or
Exceed was removed for Floppy.
Okay, Floppy was brought in, Exceed leaves, and then Infinite gets an offer from Dignitas, right?
Yes.
And obviously, at that point, Dignitas, an established org, an org that was just coming out of Pro League. These are, at the time, I think it was 2 out of 5 of your former teammates. 1 or 2 had Voltage already been cut?
Voltage was already removed, yeah.
Okay, so it's just Grim left from the SOAR roster, from the SOAR that was Broken Alliance roster, the lone survivor, as he still is. So what was, when he took that offer, when he received that offer, did you have any advice for him or any sort of insight, having come from some shade of what that roster once was?
Not any advice that regards to that, but I did tell him when he made me aware of he had the offer. I told him, I said, the moment they say that you can join that roster, you take it. You don't think otherwise. You leave this team, you go play on Dignitas. Because when you get to play with players like that and you get to play under an org like that, that's something not a lot of people experience. And I told that to Infinite because he's more than a teammate to me. He became more than a teammate to me. Like, if I ever struggle with something, or I want to think about something, or even in game, if I want to change how I play, I go talk to Infinite. I have done that several times. When I joined this team, matter of fact, my current team, we scrimmed Dignitas on Mirage, and he's a connector. Well, Gage Infinite was a connector player on our older teams, and I'm new to playing connector. So I told him in Steam chat, I was like, yo, man, after the scrim, can you show me some connector things? And for sure, right after practice, he showed me connector things because he's more than a teammate to me. He's a friend. So I felt like I should give him the best advice I could, and I said, go take that offer, go play on Dignitas, because it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and it may catapult you into living your dream.
Is it still a little bittersweet for you, though? Because, that roster, that Armada roster, you guys were going to have to play advanced, but it was still very much a powerhouse roster. On paper, at the very least, it looked like it was going to be a strong roster with a strong chance for success. So, yes, as a friend, you advise him to take that offer, for Dignitas. How could you not? But for you as a person, as a player, did it kind of feel like there was another sort of opportunity slipping you by?
100%. We looked good on paper, and we were a good team.
Mhm.
We, as an advanced team, we exclusively scrimmed top MDL and pro teams. We were
Mhm.
scrimming SK, the likes of SK, Team Liquid, Complexity, Ghost, Luminosity. We scrimmed those teams every night.
Mhm.
So we definitely had, we could definitely build because of the teams we were playing. And when we played in tournaments and stuff, you know, we played Torqued, Swole Patrol. We were beating these teams.
Mhm. How did
And
you? Just out of curiosity, sidebar. How did you get into a situation where you were scrimming pro teams?
Bibby was our manager and coach,
Mhm.
and Bibby is in. I think there's a Skype group for pro teams,
Mhm.
and his teams, like as a coach, and his teams built a reputation to be good teams to practice against. So I think that that is the reason why we were able to scrim pro teams.
All right, shout out to Baby there. He's a good dude. I think he's actually a mod in my Twitch chat from way back when. But anyways, back to previous sentiment, which I completely interrupted you on. The Armada lineup of sort of where you guys were at and what the opportunity could have been.
Excuse me, what was the question? I kind of zoned out.
I completely interrupted you. That's my bad. So it was sort of about like, you know, you were scrimming pro teams, you were doing well, the caliber competition was there. Did it sort of feel like an opportunity was kind of slipping you by again? That
Yes.
roster falling apart.
Yes, I believe so. I think if
Mhm.
we would have played that season of advanced
Mhm.
out, and we came into MDL, which would be next season, I think we would have made the LAN and probably the finals.
Okay.
But
And also,
that's an assumption.
yeah, I mean, it certainly looked that way on paper. It's always hard to tell how things are going to play out in the stretch, but the math was there, if you will. Talk about Armada as an org a little bit, because they were in Counter-Strike, they were out of Counter-Strike, they're sort of picking up different rosters. That's the org owner, Dizzy. That's Grimm's brother?
That is Voltage's brother.
Voltage's brother. Okay. I got the wrong one. Voltage's brother. So I think he's got a CS team, but it's like a main or an advanced team at this point.
I think it's an advanced team. I'm pretty
So
sure.
he took a little bit of a step back from heavy investment in CS. But what was your experience like working with that organization?
It was great. They would talk to us all the time. They'd always ask us what we needed, and they paid us, and they gave us a lot of advice.
Mhm.
It was pretty cool because I went from playing with Voltage, right? And I would
Mhm.
talk to Riley a lot, which is his brother.
Mhm.
I would talk to him a lot while playing with Voltage. So when he told me one day, actually, you will play under me. While I was on Broken Lines, you're gonna play under my org one of these days. And sure enough, that came to fruition. I definitely did play under him. They were great. They were amazing.
And you guys, I mean, the one tournament you played in was one of the Dust teams, right?
Yes.
And you won.
Yeah,
So
against Torqued in the finals. Yeah.
pretty good early results.
Yeah.
So when that roster falls apart, when they elect to just let everybody out, take a step back, what is your path forward as a person, as a player? Again, what is you as a player, MOTM, you know, selfishly for your own career? What are you trying to do in that?
Well, I wanted to play an MDL since, you know, there's no
Mhm.
point in playing an advanced team that isn't Armada. So I wanted to play an MDL, and I didn't want to be put in a position where I would be forced to in-game lead again. So I
Mhm.
wanted to be an entry fragger, I wanted to secondary op, and I wanted to be a rotator on CT side.
Mhm.
And I found the team I'm currently on, you know, they were looking for someone like that, someone that's aggressive, you know, no fear, pushes for information, goes in
Mhm.
first, and can put in time. And I ended up on my team right now.
And this is a great segue into the current season. Your team right now, which is at the time was Normal People in Ruston. Want to tell us the story there about why Ruston doesn't get included in that category?
Well, obviously the rest of the team's pretty normal. You know, they don't. Normal is. It's. The rest of the team's pretty normal. Okay.
It's a
But
relative term, but
Ruston,
sure.
yeah, that's what I was looking for actually. Yeah. So Ruston's a very special person. You know what I'm saying? He's a cool guy. He's very calm. He's good at giving criticism. You know, he's a good person. But sometimes he'll just say the most abnormal things. Some things that can't be said on stream. But he says some very interesting things.
Okay.
So that's where I assume the name came from, is
Hmm.
because of the things he says.
Hmm.
But besides that, he's a great guy.
Okay. So Rustin, notable, not normal person. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is a team that had some success in Mountain Dew League before you joined. They win, I think, 9-7, 2 seasons in a row. Um, but they hadn't really cracked that upper echelon. They hadn't cracked the sort of playoff bound assumed kind of tier. What were you feeling coming into this team? What about this team felt right to you?
Um, it felt right because they needed my role. So
Hmm.
when I came in as a player strictly, I kind of just fit in because that's what they needed. They need an entry fragger, like I said earlier, entry fragger, someone that could put in the time, aggressive by nature, and yeah, I just fit the puzzle perfectly.
And so obviously this season's been hugely successful. For anyone who's not familiar, they're 9-3 in the season. You guys are in fourth/fifth place right now. I think fifth because you lost the tiebreaker division. But in the running for playoffs without a doubt. 4 more matches to play. Top chunk of the league. When was it that you guys really felt as a team like, okay, this is working, like we're gelling?
I say it was very early in the season.
Hmm.
Our we had to play. I'd say specifically, we had to play Mirage versus Gorilla Gang,
Hmm.
which is my ex team technically.
Yeah.
But that tested our map pool a bit because we weren't like fully prepared on Mirage. So going into that, like the days previous before that match, we put in a lot of time on Mirage, and it tested our map pool. And they are like individually a very like inclined team.
Hmm.
On an individual level, they are really good. So I felt like that was a big test for us early. And when we passed the test, for me at least, when we passed the test, I was like, all right, this can work. This is it.
That's the moment in your own mind where you're like, okay, we got something here. This is the squad. This is our
Yeah,
squad.
yeah, I
We
would
got a
agree.
squad now. Okay. You said you specifically wanted to go into your role of entrying, not IGLing. Not IGLing was a priority for you. What is it you think about that in-game leading role? It's obviously something that you've had to do in various circumstances, and that you've actually stepped into willingly at various times. What do you think it is about that in-game leading role that you
Um,
really wanted to get away from?
it's not that I can't do it. I
Hmm.
think every team I've in-game led has been a successful team.
Hmm.
I think I'm pretty good at it.
Hmm.
Obviously, some people might have some different opinions, but I'd say it's my attitude and keeping myself calm when I
Hmm.
in-game lead. It's 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 no secret that like I can get pretty upset, but when I in-game lead, it's very bad because I have this
Hmm.
picture of how things should work out in my head, and when they don't go right, it's I just can't handle it on an emotional level, and it's not fun to play with. It brings the team environment down, and as an in-game leader, you're supposed to be a
Hmm.
leader figure, like a leadership figure, and when your leader is tilted or upset or not feeling it, not focused, that doesn't do wonders for your teammates. That's something other people don't want to play under.
So that emotional aspect of the game was the primary reason for choosing to step back from the in-game leading role and seeking
Yeah,
out a different role. It's
100% yes.
interesting. Do you think that's something that, I mean, you've been playing League CS for 3 seasons, but you're a very young person. You're 18. I know that might not seem super young, but it does to me. It's not super young for MDL, but it's still young. Do you feel that that's something that's like an aspect of yourself that's changing over time?
Yes, 100%. I think I've realized, this is
Hmm.
something I still struggle with. I will be
Hmm.
100% honest. This is something I still struggle
Absolutely.
with. I still get upset. I It's something that is definitely improved
Hmm.
over the years. I think that comes as I'm just maturing as a person, and I've definitely realized that if I don't calm down, I can't make my dream a reality. If I keep being upset all the time, people are not going to want to play with me, and the teams I play on are not going to perform to the level they can. So it's something I still struggle with. I definitely do still get upset,
Hmm.
but it has definitely improved over time.
Have you? I mean, it's something you struggle with. It's something you're working on. Have you sort of had help? Have you had any sort of confront that head on with you? Because I remember another player who had a reputation for being fairly emotional and for having some issues with that in terms of affecting team play and affecting teams was Dapper. And I spoke to Dapper about it, and one thing that he really loved about his current team, United, was that they really did confront head on his emotional issues and his team play issues in terms of team calming and that kind of thing. Has there sort of been that moment for you where somebody sort of said, okay, this is something we need to fix, and they've taken time with you to work on it?
Yes, I would say it's improved over my past two teams, which would be Armada and my current team, because they came to me and said, yo, dude, you're a good player. You do all these amazing things for us, but this aspect is really hindering us from reaching the next level. I would say, I'll even say specific people. Infinite, again, he definitely talked to me all the time outside of team practice, like, dude, you need to calm down, dude, you need to work on this. And that helped me a lot. And my teammates now, like all of them say, yo, man, make sure you're staying calm. We need you to be calm, because when you're not calm, you're not communicating right, you're not playing to the best of your ability. So it's definitely something my teammates have addressed with me, and it has improved. I think they'll even say my situation definitely has improved. But yeah, people have confronted me about it.
Okay. I mean, the flip side of it, of you being a very emotional player, I've also seen an effect. Specifically on LAN, it really comes out, which is when the team's doing well and you're getting loud on stage, it eggs your team on. It gets, it's a very motivating thing for people in your squad, and it can be that. Is it in that kind of double-edged sword aspect of being an emotional player? Is there, I guess, I'm trying to think of a metaphor here. Are you trying to blunt one edge of like make it so that it's a little easier to wield and control for you, as opposed to potentially hindering you?
I've actually tried, because you know how I get loud on LAN all the time, like, yeah,
Yeah.
let's go, guys, whoa.
Yeah.
I'm actually trying to calm that down too,
Really?
because
Oh, say
something
it ain't
I've
so.
realized is, if I can be mentally stable, like in the middle, completely fine, if I'm staying calm the whole time, I think I perform more consistently. Because when things are not going our way, I'll be like all down. But when things are going our way, I'm like all the way up. But if I'm in the middle the whole time, that makes me perform more consistently. And I think that's one of the reasons why I'm having the season I'm having. It's because I'm not being as loud when things are going right, and then I'm not being as detrimental as I used to be when I'm at a low. So I'm trying to reach the middle the whole time.
Much more of like a middle of the road, even keeled, as we'd put it in boating terms.
Yeah.
Okay. So now let's talk a little bit about orgs in terms of normal people in Ruston who are now Vireo Pro. But before you were Vireo Pro, you were very briefly Born Esports. What happened there? It lasted like 3 weeks, 2 weeks.
So what actually happened was, my team decided to sign with Born, right? My 4 teammates decided to sign with Born, and I was talking to my friends about it, and my friends told me, I had even people I haven't talked to in a long time Twitter DM me saying, do not sign with this org. Do not, do not, do not. I had people I haven't talked to in a long time, Mike, say, do not sign with this org. So I didn't sign the contract, but my other teammates did. And what ended up happening was they didn't pay us, and yeah, we just left.
Did they ever pay you?
No, they did not pay us at all.
They didn't even get like the first payment, and there was just nothing.
No, we left after they couldn't complete the first payment.
How do you? Wow. Why? Usually it's like 2 payments in that they dip. It's unusual that an org actually can't even get the first one. That is really. I mean, it's like the classic Mountain Dew League org, right? Is get a little bit of attention, exposure, and then just vanish.
Yep, exactly.
So okay, so you never actually signed. How did people? Why was there this reputation for? Had they done this to teams in the past?
I'm not sure. I haven't asked like specific. I didn't ask specific. Oh my! I didn't ask for specifics, but I just had my friends tell me, friends I talk to every day, people I haven't talked to in a long time, go out of their way to say, hey, don't sign this contract.
This is a bad idea. So, okay, so Born lasts no time at all. They don't make one payment. About a week later, you were picked up by Vireo. So, first question is, What is that process like where you're figuring out a squad as a Mountain Dew League team? I know for a lot of teams it's hard, but you guys were on the upper echelon at the time. I think you were actually maybe leading the league at the time.
Oh yeah, I
Certainly
think
like
we were. I think we
top
were
three.
undefeated at like 5 or 6-0, something like that.
Hmm. So what is that? What is that dance of finding an org of figuring out who's going to back you? What is that like as a team?
Uh, that's a very rough question for me to answer. I would.
Mhm.
I'll just tell you like our specific scenario. So actually, after we left Born, we were looking for an org, obviously, and I
Mhm.
had a friend of mine reach out from Soul Patrol, Zelsis. He came to me and said, "Hey,
Another friend of the show.
yeah, yeah, well, yeah." He came to me and he's like, "Yo, there's this org. This is what they're offering. They're legit. Like, you don't have to worry about them being shady or anything." And
Hmm.
I said, "Hey, Zelsis just told me this," and that's where we went from.
And that was Virio.
And that was Virio.
Okay. Because I know. So one of the other things here, one of the other footnotes is there was a little bit of a controversy with your roster and Blackout, right? Where was that you guys?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Was I thinking of Vision? I know at the same because you guys signed at the same time, which may have thrown me there. There was something with Blackout and one of the rosters. I could be wrong here. That could have been Vision. Um, wouldn't surprise me if I was getting something wrong here. So we'll just leave that alone. Okay, so you find Virio Pro, and Virio Pro, they're looking for a team. They're an established org to a degree, but they at the time I think only had mobile gaming teams. So what was that like for them coming into Counter-Strike and for you finding a home with Virio?
Uh, I'm not sure from their perspective, but
Hmm.
when they came into TeamSpeak to talk to us, like all three of them came in to talk to us. I think it was Vital, which is in the chat right now. I think her name's Myra. I'm not completely sure, and it may have been Carter, who's also in the chat. They came and talked to us, and I knew immediately they sounded professional. They were easy to talk to. Everything looked legit. So it was pretty easy going to get involved with Virio.
I'm getting corrected. They never had mobile gaming teams. Am I mixing them up with Vision again? I might be. I know I looked into both these teams at the same time. Rivals of Aether. Okay. Rivals of Aether is an FGC team, isn't it? Or an FGC game, isn't it? I'm not super familiar with it. I'm going to be honest right there. I may be completely off base here. So, okay. So you're signed with Virio Pro. Just having an established org behind you, to having some sort of financial support and just support in general, does that enable you as a team more?
Oh yeah, because it gives us a chance to go compete,
Hmm.
and it motivate the support, the backing they give us. It motivates us. It gives us like a justification to put in the time we do. So having a org back a team is very important.
Hmm. Okay. Now, all right. For your team, I mean, you've been playing together for a while now. You've got 12 games in the season done. You've got 4 more to do, but we're coming up on the tail end. How would you characterize your squad's particular brand of Counter Strike at this point? The way you guys play, the way you um, look to play, and the way it winds up happening in the server.
Uh, our team likes to try like different styles depending on who we're playing,
Hmm.
but I'd say the most common way we look to play is we look to default, spread out on the map, get map control, and just end together somewhere. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So I'd say we almost play Swole Patrol-esque Counter Strike, where if you watch Swole Patrol, they're not going to throw and execute onto a bomb set a lot. They're going
Hmm.
to spread out in the map, take control, look for fights, look for picks, and then end together somewhere as a team. So I would almost say, I hate to use this word, but we play kind of standard Counter Strike.
Okay.
I hate
Classic,
to use that
not
word.
a defined style. I mean, who does the primary calling in the team?
It is Paperboy.
Paperboy. Okay.
Yep.
And is that calling structure like? Is it like he does pre-round calling, mid-round calling, everything, or
He
pre-round and there's contribution, or?
he calls at the beginning of the round,
Hmm.
and the team usually mid rounds. So we play off the information we get. So it could be a different person calling mid round every single time.
Okay.
But Paperboy is definitely our most vocal on what we decide to do within the round.
Okay, so is it sort of like there's a lot of voices and then he has final say, or is it like this one sounds good right now, let's go for it? Someone has a strong feeling or a strong moment in the mid
Most
round.
most of the time, there's a lot of voices, and Paperboy decides on what we're doing. But there are times where someone has specific info of what's going on a side of a map or an area in the map, and it ends up being someone else calling the mid round. But most of the time, it's Paperboy deciding what's going on.
Okay. And okay, so looking a little bit beyond this, I mean, again, 9-3 on the season, 4 more games to play out. You're feeling playoffs right now, right?
Yes, 100%.
Okay. How do you feel this team's going to do, both to close out the season and then heading into playoffs?
Uh, I think our goal is definitely to make the finals, and I think that's something we're capable of.
Hmm.
We, I think we'd be disappointed if we didn't make the finals, because knowing my teammates and knowing our goals like as a team, we definitely like to push ourselves and
Hmm.
hold ourselves to high standards. So I think we're capable of making the final, but we're gonna have to play some pretty good Counter Strike to get to the finals because of the caliber of teams we have to play, like Bravado, Dignitas, Soul Patrol, even Vision's on the come up. Like the competition's heating up.
Yeah, it certainly does seem that way. Which going into the season, I wasn't expecting as much of a fierce competition since it's not a move up. Figured some people would sort of take a back seat and not take it as seriously, but it really does with teams like Dignitas and teams like Bravado and teams and Swole Patrol, obviously. And it's been a very fierce season. I mean, making finals will absolutely be an impressive achievement at this point. Um, do you think some of it's going to come down to seeding, or do you feel like any squad in Mountain Dew League you guys can take?
I think it's come down to seeding. We match up versus certain teams better and like
Hmm.
the ways they play and stuff.
Hmm.
So if we can get a solid seed and we play some good Counter Strike, we can make the finals.
Who's the team to beat? Who's your most feared team at
My
this point?
most feared well, the team I want to beat the most is Dignitas because Infinite and Grim's on the team. They're my ex teammates. They're my friends. I
Hmm.
really want to beat Dignitas. Uh, I really want to beat Soul Patrol for the same reasons. I have a lot of friends on that team, cool people. So definitely those teams, Dignitas and Soul Patrol, because of the level they play at and
Hmm.
the friendships I hold with the people on the team.
Adds that extra sweetness if you can topple them.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, do you what's sort of on the horizon? Past Mountain Dew League playoffs this season, obviously, and then going into next season is the move up one, is the crucial one. But what else is on the horizon for you and the squad for Vireo? Do you have any lands planned?
We have Fragadelphia 12 on
Oh yeah.
August 3rd.
Ah,
Fragadelphia 12.
might see you there.
Yep.
Uh, maybe. I'll probably show up in some capacity or another. Okay, Frag 12. That's gonna be a pretty crazy land, actually. Big prize pool. Lots of teams are committing towards going. How you feeling about your chances going into Frag 12?
Same thing as MDL. We're looking to make the finals. I
Hmm.
think we're totally capable of that, and that's the standard we should hold ourselves to. So Fragadelphia 12. Let's make the finals.
How have you had any chance to play on land with this squad yet?
This team specifically, we have not played at a LAN yet, so Fragadelphia 12 will be our first LAN.
Is that something else you're looking forward to?
Yes, I really want to meet some of my teammates on LAN. Some of my teammates, all of my teammates. I want to meet my teammates at LAN. I've
Rustin, you're not so sure about. Like,
yeah. But why I say that is
Mhm.
because every LAN I've been to, I've been with my friends. Like when I joined this team, I wasn't really like friends with any of them.
Mhm.
So it's kind of like I'm meeting new people. But every LAN I've been to, I've been with OC. I've been to 5 LANs. Every single time I've been with OC. And
Okay. Hmm.
besides OC, I've always had like a really good friend on the team. So this is the first time I'm joining a team where I'm going to be meeting these people for the first time, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, that is actually interesting. You sort of form these bonds and these friendships online, and there's no you haven't actually met the people. I mean, ZNF was at Mad City, I think,
Yeah,
right?
I met ZNF at LAN,
Okay,
Chicago, yeah.
but there's still very much like it's different to play in person, to play across the table from somebody,
Yeah.
to play next to somebody. That's a different experience. It's a different feel, and it's a different you know brand of Counter Strike almost. Do you? do you think that playing together on LAN, that getting that experience will also solidify your team play back at home?
Yes, because when you go to LAN, emotions and stuff, and
Hmm.
things are going on around you, and there's more on the line. More things are exposed, as in like how good are you guys as a team. So I think going to a LAN is good for any team.
Hmm.
Any team playing at a LAN will just be exposed to so much more, and you can just take so much more from playing at a LAN as a team.
Okay. So I want to start to wrap things up because I promised I'd get you done by about 9. You got a CVO match at 9, so don't want to run into that too much. And you'll also be playing an MDL match later tonight, so got to get you prepped and ready for your games. But I still want to ask you some questions more personally about you, sort of you as a player and MOTM's brand of Counter Strike. So first, we've talked about your most comfortable role, which is entry fragging, sort of that hard entry. Obviously, you've had to play a lot of different roles, but in an ideal world, in a vacuum, in the fantasy world where you can play Counter Strike exactly the way you most want to, what does that team look like, and what does your role in that team look like?
Are you asking for specific players or?
No, no, no. I'm not asking for specific players. I'm talking about like, when we talked about brand of Counter Strike, where you said like your current team plays almost standard, like you have a default and you act based on that. I'm saying like if you had a world where you didn't have to worry about how your teammates played at all, they would just perfectly fill whatever roles you wanted them to fill, and you never had to make concessions for your teammates or that kind of thing. It's a fantasy land, but that doesn't happen. But what would your brand of Counter Strike be? The
So you're
distillation of
asking
what you want.
you're asking the style of play that my team
Yes.
would play. So
Yes.
the way we're playing right now actually is the style of Counter Strike I really like to play, where you take control of the map, you walk into places, you take parts of the map as a team, you look for
Hmm.
picks. That's the style of play I like to play because I'm a very aggressive player that likes to walk into places because I'm an entry frag. Like entry frag at
Hmm.
heart, I go in first, I'm taking aim fights. So default heavy Counter Strike is something I prefer. So
Do you prefer, in the capacity of default heavy Counter Strike, do you prefer a situation where you have a very defined role, where like you're expected to play a certain position, you're expected to do a certain thing in a setup, or do you prefer a role where it's like, okay, you have an area of the map, but it's a little bit looser, you can kind of do your own thing?
I prefer where I have an area of the map and I'm very very loose because on CT sides especially, if I see like a gap or like there's no one there, I can take information, I can take space on the map for free. That's
Hmm.
something I really like to do. I like to get a lot of information from my team, push, take fights, try to get number advantage. That's the type of player I am.
Okay. On touching again on roles in a different capacity, we talked about it again earlier, where one of the main reasons you wanted to step away from IGLing was that you felt like your emotional state was sort of impacting your ability to do that. But on the flip side of that, you've had a lot of success in game leading. If you could sort of get a better handle on yourself as an emotional player, do you think in-game leading is something you'd want to return to?
Uh, if I could stay calm, I would 100% in-game lead just because of the results I've had while doing it.
Hmm.
So if I could stay calm, I would 100% in-game lead.
Okay. All right. Is that like maybe like a sort of a goal, like something to work towards, is getting to that point where you're comfortable enough with yourself as a player and as a communicator to be able to assume that mantle again?
Um, the people would have to be right. Like the people I'm playing with would have to be right,
Hmm.
and it would have to be down the road because I think I still have some maturing to do
Okay.
before I get there.
It's a very that stance, that recognition of yourself as a person and a player, in and of itself is a pretty mature thing to have. To be able to look at yourself and be like, maybe someday, but this is something I need
Yeah,
to work on
I
still.
think I think I'm like that because of the people I surround myself with. The
Hmm.
people I talk to a lot, they're very honest with me, and that's something I respect as a person is honesty and not being scared to like tell me what's wrong. And people have done that for me. They've told me that, hey, this is a problem. You need to calm down, or you need to approach this scenario better. So I'm very lucky, I think.
Okay. So that's sort of a nice sentiment to draw to a close. Where I'm getting you out right on time. It's 8:59 right now, so I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up. But any final sentiments you want to share with us, or any shout outs you want to make?
Yeah, I just want to say shout out to my team, because I would not be performing at the level I am right now without them. They set me up to succeed a lot. I want to say another shout out to my close friends, Gage, Sylvia, Ryan, Levi, Trev. All you guys really helped me out a lot. You definitely improved my attitude and have helped me mature a lot. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right.
And to my organization for helping us out in MDL and sending us to Philadelphia 12. I love you guys, and I appreciate it so much.
Shout outs to Virio Pro. Okay, so that's going to be it from us this week, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in. We are going to be back next week again at 8 p.m. So keep an eye on this space. If you enjoyed this chat, feel free to give me a follow. You can find me on Twitter at DarfMike, and feel free to give my my lovely interviewee a follow as well. You can find him on Twitter at 21motm because you lost the 1motm Twitter, right?
Yes.
What happened there?
I really don't want to talk about it. Honestly.
Okay, we're not going to talk about it, but for whatever reason, there's now. So he's 21 MOTM, and when you turn 21, that'll make sense. So 3 years from now, that's going to be a relevant Twitter handle again. Although I guess you're not one, so the other one wasn't. It was a dumb joke. We're going to step away from that. So again, thank you so much for joining us. Check out the Drop Room, which is Mondays at 6 p.m. This week, it's actually going to be Monday at 9 p.m. because I'm going to be getting on a flight back fairly late. Because this weekend, I'm going to be in Oklahoma at Tokyo and Tulsa doing some casting. So if you're in the Oklahoma area, come check it out. If you're not, keep an eye on the Midwest Land Space and or my Twitter, and we'll be tweeting out links to the stream. So check out that tournament. That's going to be it. We'll be back next week with a different person.